Hey, welcome to the Future Wives Club. Welcome to the Facebook channel. Welcome to the Facebook YouTube channel. Welcome to wherever you are. You are just here with me in my backyard, and we're just gonna have a discussion. We're gonna have a discussion, our first one of 2017. I so love connecting with you guys in 2016. And I got some questions, so we'll do a Q&A. And we'll schedule some live discussions, but this is just pre-recorded. See, I got me a little cup right here. You know, we're just having a cup, you know, cup of tea, cup of coffee, cup of something refreshing, you know, whatever that is for you. Okay, I'm gonna take my sip, see. We're just having an informal discussion today about faithfulness, and I hope you can hear me. You might have to turn your stuff all the way up because this is that good organic, you know, iPhone video quality right here. Okay, so you might have to turn me up, but I want to talk about faithfulness today. When we talk about relationships, there is everything to discuss. So anyone who says that you could take 10 topics and know everything you need to know is being a little naive, right? You can always shore up your foundations, but there's a lot of things to talk about, period. So, you know, that's why I think it's great to keep having discussions and talk about whatever it is that needs to be discussed that day. So faithfulness is this topic. When I was in prayer, I felt like this needs to be talked about now. And it's usually in the context of being loyal to another person when we're talking about dating. But the truth is, faithfulness is a lifestyle. Faithfulness is a lifestyle. It spreads from one section of your life, one synapse of your brain to another, until it produces a culture of faithfulness in your life. It produces a culture of trustworthiness, right, in a person's life, and this is just who they are consistently. So it does not exist in a vacuum. You cannot be faithful to some vows or some commitments or some friendships or some lovers. And this is not like a moment to make anybody feel bad, but really I think faithfulness is something that we try to evaluate in ourselves. We should be looking to see if it's established in us. And also, you want to know if that's established before you establish a long-term and serious relationship, right? Let's take a pause. Whoever you're considering, have they demonstrated a lifestyle of faithfulness? Well, yeah, take a sip. Sometimes we're so eager to make something work with someone that we want to be faithful to us that we haven't really evaluated the evidence that they're giving us as to where they are with this. So I'll say again, a person can't be faithful to some of their vows, some of their commitments when it's convenient, some of their friends, some of their lovers. Some people have more than one right now, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't work that way, right? So what I mean by that is a mistress, right? Somebody that's in a relationship with a married man, he can say whatever, but she shouldn't really trust that he is going to keep a commitment of fidelity to her or his wife, right? Because he's clearly breaking it with someone, with you. So the idea that, you know, oh, if you see him in a club with a third girl, you know, I hear that a lot. You know, someone's in this situation and yet they're shocked if that person is cheating again on them, a third or a fifth person. It doesn't separate that way. Or here's another experience that isn't quite so loaded. A friend, you know, if a man is willing to backstab a mutual friend to take advantage of a financial opportunity or a relationship opportunity or any opportunity, then they are more likely than not going to one day backstab you to some degree or another, because that's something that's okay with them. Now, everybody makes mistakes, so I'm not talking about that one instance where, you know, time pressure was there or something got the better of you, and, or he or she, you know, and we goof up. But you know what I found? Listen to that person after that incident. I found that people who have an established culture of faithfulness, they would do everything to fix it. And everything could have been against them. They will not justify having been unfaithful. They will not justify having betrayed that friend. They will not justify, you know, failing to do what they said they would do. They just won't, right? Whereas somebody who has an established culture of being unfaithful, I don't know another way to say that, I'm sorry, of being more flaky or whatever, okay? Whatever we want to call it. If faithfulness is not our culture, then when we do something like that, we tend to have excuses for why it's okay from our perspective. Why it was better off and how maybe they're still better off. You know, we come up with things. People will come up with things to write it off and make it not such a big deal. If you're close to someone and you see them slightly betray a mutual friend, you see how they do another business partner, you see how they treat another significant other. Let's say you're friends and they already have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you know, and maybe you've been around for lots of relationships. That happens sometimes. And the way that they consistently deal with other people, you know, if they're easily writing it off, then it's probably because within them, in the synapses of their mind, this is not that big a deal. And you know, like I said, we all make mistakes, but we're talking about the pattern. And we can always repent and change our ways at any time, you know, regarding many things. However, that turning into a faithful person has to be a holistic change. It has to include the whole lifestyle, right? It's not about, I'm so sorry I betrayed this friend, I won't betray you, I never lie to you, I lie to everybody, but I don't lie to you. No, it doesn't matter, because you think you lie for good intentions. You think your lying is for a good reason, and so therefore at some point it will seem like a good reason to lie to me too. And it's just the way we are as people. You know, we are consistent. Even when we're inconsistent, we're consistently inconsistent. Okay? That's just the way it is. So anyway, like I said, turning, and even if you're hearing this, and sometimes when somebody's talking about a virtue that I think is mine, I think I live it, and then I listen and I go, dang, I don't really, I don't own that like I want to. I don't see that in my life, in my heart. It's okay, but just let us understand that it's everything in the experience of our life. It's not just one area, okay? Because the heart of a faithful one, a faithful person, is consistent. It's true, it's loyal, it's honest, consistently. And the people who are consistently faithful are often slow to make commitments because they understand the length to which they are going to go to fulfill their commitment. You know what I'm saying? So people who know, like, they are going to keep their word if they make their word. They're often the same people who are slower to give their word because they know, okay, once I commit to this, I'll break my leg. I'll do whatever, you know. You know, for some men, they say so easily, like, I would die for you. Now, some people are just talking, but there are very many people who you'll find they might be slower to commit, not because they fear commitment, that's out there, but some people are slow to commit because they know that they are going to keep that commitment, and so they're being careful, and I think that's a good thing. Count the costs, right? The Bible praises people who are so faithful that it says they swear to their own hurt and they keep it, which means they commit to something and it turns out to cost way more money, way more sacrifice than they had ever expected. But when they get into the situation and they see that it's costing them everything, they still keep their word. They still keep their vow. And the Bible praises people like that. There's a reward on that. So, and that's the kind of faithfulness we hope for in marriage, right? As we're the Future Wives Club. That's what everybody's hoping for when they make those vows. Is the reason for making the vow, for better, for worse, is that we hope that if we get into the situation and it's just more work, it's more difficult, you know, obstacles come up that we never imagined, and this whole life thing is just harder than we even had bet on, that we can trust the other person to show up and engage and be faithful anyway, that they're gonna see it through. You know, that's the whole hope and goal of the marriage vow in the first place. And I do realize, I'm gonna just take this off, keep it. I do realize that the concept of marriage is in question right now for a lot of people. It's as if, you know, maybe if you don't enter into it, then you won't be hurt. And the truth is, that sense of rebellion against making a covenant, for those who it's like that for, it really isn't going to defend us. It's not going to protect us. You know, it's not going to protect us from feeling rejected if someone doesn't come to our side to defend us. It's not going to protect us from wanting and needing support in really intimate ways for our whole life. We still need that. But I do understand that, because in some cases it's been carried so poorly. People fail their marriages through selfishness, through, you know, different things, that, you know, that it goes there. I still believe, however, that there are the faithful who swear to their own hurt and keep it, that married somebody because of their good looks and then they get into a car accident and they are paralyzed and they love them forever. That you know, get into a situation, everyone's happy, healthy, we're getting ready to buy this big house, and then someone comes up with a terminal illness and they walk through and they fight through and they love through together. You know, those things are real too. But what's really extremely important, though, that people don't talk about regarding faithfulness is, who are you faithful to first? Don't rush the answer. Okay, I think there should be an obvious answer. If you're a believer, if you're spiritual, that it should be God. I should be faithful to God first. But everyone has to choose. There's a hierarchy to faithfulness. And what I mean is, even if we don't intend for there to be, at some point we're going to have to choose between our faithfulness to different people. So let's just say we've established, or we're establishing a culture of faithfulness in our life. And that culture means I keep my word. I show up. If I commit to a relationship, I'm going to be there for this person, and I'm going to trust them to be there for me. It means I believe in them. I believe in the fact that this relationship will work. Faithfulness. The word faith is the first part of the word. So there has to be belief in the one that I'm in the relationship with. There has to be belief in the idea that I'm committing myself in faithfulness to, right? There has to be belief in the project or the organization if I'm gonna be faithful to it, more than like, you know, here's a project, I'm getting a paycheck. I'm talking about faithfulness to a larger idea, a larger movement, a larger cause. That means I believe that by investing myself, there's profit, there's benefit that's significant. And if I get into a relationship with another person, I believe that by we investing ourselves both into the relationship, that relationship is going to produce something that is powerful, that is transformative for us. That is transformative for others, right? So there's faith in faithfulness. You don't decide to be faithful because it sounds like a positive thing to do. We're faithful to something because we believe in a greater, and so we're investing in that. So when it comes to prioritizing faithfulness, if I've established a culture of faithfulness in my life and I keep those commitments, I'm careful. I look at who I'm committing to, who are my friends, who's my love, you know, and then at some point my spouse, right? Who or what have I signed up for? As I commit, there's a response that I'm saying I'm going to be giving, you know, in my life for a season or for the rest of my life, depending on the commitment. And at some point, these things will conflict. At some point, life will bring me to moments, occasions, situations where I have to choose between 2 or 3 or 5 things that I'm faithful to. And it won't be because one of them is bad and one is good. That's easy, right? If it's, for example, to use this example again, because everybody knows about infidelity. If I have committed to a person, my love, my fidelity, and someone else shows up, well, it's clearly good to keep faithful to the person, even if they have just made me so mad that day. Even if they were just acting a fool, and then someone else comes up, because you know that's how it works, right? When they're acting a fool, that's when the temptation comes. Yeah, and they're just being so sweet, fine, affirming, whatever. No, I think it's clear I'm to keep my covenant and turn away the evil thing. That's obvious, but, and I didn't say it's always easy. It gets easier the more you commit to keeping your vows, the more you commit to keeping your commitments. But what comes is I've committed to my husband and my son. I've committed to my spouse and my children. I've committed to a cause as well as to my family. I've committed to 3 friends, right? I've committed to God. So sometimes more than one person that I am faithful to, that I am loyal to, as a friend, as a daughter, as a cousin, as a wife, whatever, will need my attention. They will need my involvement, or they'll ask, I should say, they'll ask for my engagement, and they might even feel like they need it. They might even feel like they absolutely have to have it, all of them. I believe that when we have established a culture of faithfulness, we should not choose who to go with based on who cries louder or who says they need it the most. Or whatever. Some people just cry louder. Some of us have like a little drama itch, you know. Here's why I believe God should be first. Because my faithfulness to God being first, God isn't needy. He doesn't call me to things or send me in directions to satisfy his insecurity so that he doesn't feel rejected. He doesn't do things selfishly. So when I am leaning on him to guide my decisions and prioritize my time, when I'm hearing his voice, which he blesses us to do if we believe. Just side note, the Lord says, you will seek me and find me when you seek for me with all your heart. So if you haven't heard the voice of God, if you've never received direction, trust me, the only thing that is the difference between those who are saying, yes, I found him, I feel him, I see him, and those who are saying, well, I kind of tried it and I didn't, I don't know what you're talking about. The difference is all your heart. All your heart. He promises you will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Okay? So all my heart doesn't mean 90%, doesn't mean 50%, doesn't mean today, and if it doesn't work today, tomorrow I'm on to my own thing. All your heart. And it always works because he's so good. Okay? So as I'm listening to God about what to do, my son has a need, my husband has a need, my mom has a need. He will always lead me to the right thing and establish me in it. furthermore, when it comes to something like marriage, obviously amongst humans, that spouse becomes the first thing. I don't know if you know this, but this is true. I do want to have a side note for those of you who have children before you enter marriage, like you have pre-existing children with someone else. There's a side note there. But by and large, if I am married and the kids have all come in context of this marriage, then yeah, I'm working with my spouse so that we can together prioritize our child. We can together prioritize his mother or mine. But there should never be a sense of him thinking that there's another relationship, a human relationship, that's closer to me or more intimate than him. This is very important because some of us have girlfriends, we have friends or best friends, and we need to know when you get married, your best friend dropped a level. There should never be a competition between pre-existing friendships, even if they're opposite sex or same sex. It doesn't matter which kind of friend it was. Siblings, parents, everybody drops a level when you get married. You need to know, it needs to be understood that you are establishing a covenant and you have established this person above all the other people, their needs above all the other needs, because there's only one person in a covenant like that with you, and that's them. Period. So nobody else should be competing because there's nobody else in the covenant with you. It's just the two of you. Now, the side note for those who have had children before a marriage, if you're in the process of courting someone and you already have kids, yeah, that's a special subject, and there needs to be conversation. Please don't skip it. Please don't skip it. Please, please, please. I don't care how uncomfortable they are talking about it, your kids or this new person. There have to be conversations with, preferably with like a counselor or a pastor, someone professional and qualified as a third party. Sometimes people can take it from books, you know. I appreciate that as well. I'm just saying preferably it'd be great to have someone there, and there needs to be conversations where we come to understand the dynamics of the new relationships. Because as mommy or daddy, just for the men who might be watching, you know, you're these kids' covering, and there's no replacement for you in this either. You know, so in my marriage, if it's me and my spouse and then we bring in kids, they have one mommy and one daddy, but they have two parents. And the only way for those two parents to have the best possible relationship is to continue to prioritize each other and together to prioritize the kids. That's how it works. Together, we'll prioritize the kids. And if there ever comes a time when your spouse will not allow you to work together to prioritize kids, or the dynamics are too tumultuous, too rough, that's why you have God first. Because God will guide you in how to take care of both the marriage and the family. He will do that. That's why he's first. That's why he's first. And sometimes it comes between God and my husband. And guess what? I will just have to deal with the fact that my husband might be mad for a while, because later he will calm down when he realizes that I heard his word and I heard the Lord's word and I did the Lord's thing. And I've done it the other way before, and there is never a positive to that, because now I violated my conscience. And when the thing doesn't work out, my husband will say, "Oh, why do you listen to God then?" Because I was acting foolishly. So that's the establishment of putting God first, then the spouse, then the kids. Now again, if you're entering into something, or you're in something where this is not the father of these kids, or this is not the mom of these kids, you do have to understand you have a pre-existing relationship with the kids, and they will need to be spoken to, and they need to be brought along in the process of understanding how important this spouse is to their life. And that spouse needs to be brought along in understanding how important they are to the kid's life, and how important the kids can be to their lives. And there's a lot of discussion in there, and it's not as simple, clearly. It's not a utopianistic ideal, but it will work out. And that, again, is why you need to have God first, so that you know how to listen and say, my husband's big gala at work where he needs to get in front of this boss to get this promotion, or, you know, my kids' championship game, which to them is everything, that I'm there for that. And, you know, which one am I choosing? Or is there a way to do both? You know, how can we move as a unit? Man, I'm telling you, there's a lot of situations where you will choose faithfulness, and it's who you are, and you're gonna have to come up between one or the other. You're gonna have to choose between two organizations or two causes. You're gonna have to choose between 2 or 3 or 5 friends. Not because one of them did the other one wrong, but just because maybe they're having special things at the same time. You know, there's constantly moments, and you know what? It's a blessing to be committed and engaged in things that give life and give you an opportunity to stretch yourself and to show up for people, to show up for others. So, because choices really, you know, I'm distracted. I want to see how the battery's doing on the iPhone. Hold on just a second, okay? Well, we're still going. So, yeah. All right. It's still going. All right. So, I was saying that choices are something that life brings to us constantly. And what choices we make, they determine the path we walk. And we have to walk with some intentionality, or we might find ourselves going around in big circles, wondering why we haven't broken through or moved forward in an area that's available to us, that the opportunity is present, but we don't go forward because we're not making the right choices. And I don't mean just the right choices, I mean consistently choosing the same direction so that we can put one foot before the other down a path. So why did I say that we have to prioritize our faithfulness, prioritize our commitments? Because again and again, we're going to have opportunities to choose between 2 or 3 or 5 seemingly good things. But we have to remember which has first priority, which has third, which has fifth, so that we can consistently choose the thing that we value the most, based on wisdom, based on God's word, based on the commitments we've made, so that we can keep putting first things first over and over again. And as we keep doing that, we're gonna find that at the end of our lives, our values are clear to anyone who looks to see, and we're gonna have what we give ourselves to. At the end of everyone's life, if they live long enough, they have whatever they gave themselves to. I see in one woman's life that she's given herself to her family. I look at her there as she's gray-haired and older in age. She didn't take every opportunity at work she could have. She didn't take every opportunity in education. She kept prioritizing the younger generations in her family, and now she's surrounded by them. She's got oodles of family everywhere, and the people in her family are doing better than others of their demographic because of the connectivity that they've had in so many ways to each other. What she has is a powerful network of, for 2 and 3 generations beneath her, a family, because that's what she's prioritized. I see another woman who had, she liked her family, she loved her family, but she prioritized her work. And when I look at her life, I see decades of businesses, and I see professionals who look up to her for trailblazing what it meant to be a woman in industry, what it meant to be a woman in business. And when you look at her life, you see she's given herself to her work. When you look at the other woman's life, you see she's given herself to her family. I'm not even making a value assessment there. I'm saying your values should be rising to the top. At the end of your life, you will have what you've given yourself to. If you give yourself to comfort and that's all you prioritize, at the end of your life, you know what you're gonna look like? Real comfortable. You have comfort, and that may be it. Really comfortable sweats or whatever it is. Good Netflix account, I don't know. You'll get what you seek. So I'm encouraging you to seek the Lord. I'm encouraging you to seek God. I pray that in 20 and 30 years, when my life is reviewed, it will be evident that I was putting Jesus first, that I was putting him, his kingdom, his people first, and that there will be evidence of him using me so much more than I can imagine right now. And in the context of that, because of his values, I will have valued my family highly, and they would be healthy and strong in him. And you know, that's what I value, and that's what I want to see. I want to see a legacy of people touched by God, and I want to see a legacy of a healthy family that's been touched by God through me more than most. More than most by far. But for you, what is it that you want to see? What is it that you want to be the story at the end of your life? What have you come to value? And by that, you can look at what you want to guide you, what you want to see when this is over, and then make your faithfulness. Listen, if you've been the kind of person that didn't really take commitments like that big a deal, you don't know if you're gonna show up in time, you don't know if you're gonna show up at all, you don't know whatever, you're gonna blow with the wind. Understand that that's a path. It's a path, and at the end, who knows, right? Because we didn't focus on anything. But man, considering being willing to commit even to a small number of things, and let those commitments really dig in and guide you. You don't have to commit to too much. You can commit to little, but let the things you commit to be real for you and be serious, and take them in, and give yourself for them, and always prioritize them and put them on top. Those people, those things, and in the end, they will have guided the path of your life, and you'll not move in circles around breaking through into something. But in those key areas, you will surge forward, and it'll be beautiful. Okay? And as we're faithful, as we committed to being faithful, we draw to ourselves other faithful people. When we're faithful to being diligent, we draw diligent people. When we're faithful to being good stewards with finances, we draw the people who are good stewards with finances. When we're faithful to loving our kids, we draw the people who love their kids. It's just the way we are. It's the way we are. If we're faithful to being skillful in the gifts that God's given us, and we're really about increasing skill and using and stewarding those in a responsible way, we'll draw other people who are really focused on being skillful in their gifts and using them in an intentional way. It's the way it is. So I encourage you to look at whoever you're considering being with, evaluate their faithfulness. Okay, whoever you're with, whoever you're presuming you're not married yet, right? Consider what they're showing you about faithfulness, and don't expect that they can be faithful to you while they've not been faithful to anyone else or anything else. It's not that they don't intend to, it's just that that's not how faithfulness works. It's a system, it's a way of being. And let's all of us, you know, me included, push forward into being even more faithful. Faithful to God, faithful to family, faithful to friends, faithful to the things that we carefully choose to commit ourselves to. All right. Okay, it was great being with you, Future Wives Club. It was great having this little discussion. I think I might often have a drink with me, have a little discussion. And, you know, bless you guys. Okay. Bye-bye.